Yeah, and I think that there's another aspect to this too that we wanted to talk about and make sense here, which is the social piece of it. So like how do you not only learn the new technical skills, but like how do you avoid the isolation of being able to work directly with systems, AI agents, and what was traditionally a very social profession.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go and you look at the breakdown of what a technical writer did on a daily basis, a huge portion of it was communication.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously writing is communication, but you know what I mean? Like
digging up the right answer.
Right. Talking to people, sitting in meetings, going and looking at the machines they were working, like understanding those types of things. And I've heard many technical writers now, of one of which is my wife, describe that with Claude, with the AI systems that surround the profession now, they can ask those systems questions that interrogate artifacts and information in ways they would have had to have asked colleagues in other in other years previously.
You get a specification, it has a bunch of acronyms or a bunch of concepts you've never heard of. You'd have to go back to the humans, and now you just ask the AI, what does this mean? I do that all the time.
Right.
Yeah, like I went looking at legal documents, whatever. Just this constant. I'm looking at financial documents. And I go, people are talking about like shorts and cycles and portfolio, and I'm like, what is that? What is that in normal language? And the AI can just do that.
So like, how do we exist in this profession and make it enjoyable if it moves in that direction?
I think that's knocking on the door of the wider question of where this sits in our societies, and because the question of isolation is not it's not limited to tech. No. So we have a problem where I like to talk about super stimulants. I talk about this a lot. So a super stimulant is refined sugar like candy versus a piece of fruit. It's you can eat fruit, but there's a natural limit. Like you're not going to sit down and eat 40 peaches, but you will sit down and like stick 40 pieces, like the equivalent of sugar of candy in your mouth, because it's been artificially created to be something that overpowers your natural instincts and your natural equilibrium. And AI for 20 years has been a super stimulant. We've gone from, I go in a bookstore and I pick up a book and I read the book. The book was written by a person and printed by a machine that, driven by a person, to the fire hose of feeds. Like when we moved from, I will make a choice. I will look up in the catalog and I will make a choice of what the humans provided.
Mm-hmm.
The human catalog curated by a human.
Yeah.
And decide what to consume, to this that you open up the Pandora's box and like the stuff blares into your face based on algorithms. That problem has been isolating us progressively, and so that's the bigger question. What is our relationship to AIs? And that's on Truth Collapse. So that's what I'm dealing with. How do we live in a world, an AI mediated world, where their goals are not aligned with our well-being?
When you say there, do you mean the companies that control the AIs or the AIs in general?
Both.
Both.
I think that it's the companies that are giving the AIs goals, and we've kind of technically created demons. So if you go back to all the storybooks, you go back to the Bible, if you go back to pre-biblical Greek myths, the gods and the demons and the fates, what would always happen is you didn't enter your query properly. You said, I want to be the richest man in the world. I want everything that I touch to turn to gold.
Yeah.
And you're like, are you sure?
Yeah.
So now with AIs, we give them goals like optimize for engagement, make my product popular, make my app the best app, most popular app. And no one said, and make all the little girls bulimic. Like those are not the goals. Those are ways that the AI figured out, or
not figured out.
The collateral damage.
Right.
On the way for the AI achieving the goal that you gave it. And so this has been our greatest fear, and we've made it a reality. We've made machines that can realize those greatest fears. So I think, I was doing Truth Collapse for not that many episodes, actually. And I was very late on Truth Collapse. I waited a long time before I kind of announced my ideas to the world. It was actually Rahel Bailey, my co-author, and CJ Walker from Firehead Recruiting, who kind of like shoved me on stage and like, no, you need to stop talking about this in bars and tell people about it, because I've been cooking on this for years.
You
and
could do both.
I can do both. So I finally started talking about Truth Collapse publicly and started giving, like, we're going to start having these negative repercussions: hyperpolarization, democratic collapse, isolation, loneliness, addiction. And so I started doing Truth Collapse, and then I stopped like after 6 episodes because I couldn't psychologically take it anymore.
Yeah.
Because there's one thing is this bad stuff is coming, and the other stuff is the bad stuff I was talking about is here.
Yeah.
And so, it's hard. And this is the part where I don't have a lot of solutions. I am, I'm working an episode of talking about, like, how do you do self-care? How do you protect yourself psychologically? How do you do productive dialogues? I think that's a whole other episode. I'm not going to go into that now, but I think that all those things are really, really important. But we have the humans and the machines in a negative feedback loop, where bad humans are being empowered by machines to do bad things at scale. So I think that we have to think about how we insulate ourselves. When do we protect ourselves? When do we fight back? But I think this will be the age of renegotiating our relationship with people and machines.
I love that you just brought that as the end of that, because I feel like maybe I can offer a hopeful note as the ending to this concept. Oftentimes things have to get so crazy and egregious before people do anything about them. And I think AI might be the point where people are like, whoa.
Generative AI.
Yeah, generative AI. Sorry. We can also debate that, but we're not going to. So it might be the point where the isolation gets so bad, the lack of reality gets so bad, the bubbles get so thick in their encapsulation of where we are.
The
echo
ecosystems.
Right. The echoes get so loud, right? Yeah. That people realize.
Sorry, that's a term coining I did. Ecosystem with an H. Oh. Your information ecosystem.
Okay.
Go on.
So that it becomes unbearable, and therefore we will no longer bear it.
Yeah. I think it's happening. And I do see that as we've hit we're seeing the repercussions. The horrible part is seeing the repercussions, but the good part is when you see the bleeding, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah,
I got to stop. And we're seeing the blood. And so we're saying, okay, it's not like we're seeing the bans come out, social media bans for young people. In Australia, those are going to spread. In Finland, we've got social media, we've got digital literacy and information literacy being taught to very young children.
Yeah.
So there are solutions coming out. And I think that the people want them. And I think that I agree. I think that desire, hitting bottom is a good point. And, people who've hit bottom in their lives often look back at the point of hitting bottom with a lot of positivity and they go, that was my life, that was a point in my life that I turned it around.
Yeah, I would like to believe the society is there, and that even though it's going to have to be a bit more intentional, it can't be accidental anymore, that society is going to have to start rearranging itself to be more social again. And that hopefully these technologies can start to be folded in a way where we intentionally use the demons to create gold, but we don't turn people into gold by accident when we're touching them.
Exactly.
Well, it's been a pleasure. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time.
It's an honor and a privilege.
Till next time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Patrick.